Jocks, Abby, welcome back. Oh, Abby's rocking BrandLove colors. I feel like I should give us some extra points on the learning. And Terry, okay. So if you're wearing pink today, new rule, you're gonna get 50 points extra once we get you on the learning management system. I'm gonna hand over to Chantel and Anna. We're talking about visual thinking. So let me just introduce this the right way. Right, we have so many incredible little tools and nuggets that we want to share with you. But basically, you don't ever have to be bored in meetings again. The skills that we're going to be are going to actually help you gain some incredible insights and perspective into human interaction using this gift of visual thinking. With that, buckle up, grab more paper. If you have a nice pen and a nice Sharpie to draw with, that's going to help you. Chantal, just ready me up.
Yeah, amazing. So people grab a piece of paper, book, pen, and we are gonna show you a few tricks. So let me just quickly, I want to just spotlight. There we go. Fantastic. Thank you, team. So I am joined by my colleague Anna, who comes from a very creative background. She leads a few of our programs here in BrandLove, and her creativity is so much boosted by her sketchnoting and visual thinking skills. So we are going to jam with you today. We're going to teach you the basics. I think for me, and I'll hand over to Anna shortly, for me, this is like a superpower. Everything I do, I draw it out first. So my Amazon book that you'll get a copy of, that was drawn on pieces of paper as I conceptualized it. Every presentation I do, I draw that out first. Even if I get my graphics team to prepare a beautiful PowerPoint, I first draw it out, because somehow the storytelling and as the information connects in my brain, it just creates a beautiful story. And I remember the story so much better. So it's very rare that I have any notes for any presentation I do, because those sketches and the visualization is just in my brain. So let me hand over to Anna, and Anna can tell you a bit about what that has done for her.
Amazing. Thank you, Chantal. Yeah, I mean, images are so powerful, and they actually are very memorable. And like you would have seen in Chantal's previous presentation, a very few simple drawings can actually convey a very powerful and very memorable message. And drawing can be quite intimidating quite often. And I think that is the point of today's class, is to really demystify drawing and what it takes to be able to communicate in a very visual way. So we've got a demo for you, and we really want you to follow along with our drawing. And together we're going to put shapes and lines and all kinds of things together to form pictures and to tell stories. So you'll see on the left there's sharing. You're going to follow us as we draw, and please shout if you have any questions along the way. But where we're going to start is actually just with some very basic shapes. And these basic shapes are the fundamentals of most drawings. And if you can do these, you could piece them together and create some amazing visuals. Okay, so let me start. Everyone can do a dot. So I'm just gonna draw as we go and copy me. And next we have a line. So a vertical line.
And our friend Eva Lotta Lam says a line is just a dot that's in a hurry. So if you have a dot, it's in a hurry, then it becomes a line.
There we go. And a dotted line is actually as powerful. We have an angle like this, a very right angle. We have an arch. There's a spiral like this, or you can do a loop like that. Great. And then if we start closing these shapes, it takes it to one step further. So just below, you can start by drawing a circle. An oval gives the circle a certain dimension. then next up we have a triangle, a square, and a rectangle, and a cloud, or maybe just kind of a squiggle that looks like a splat. Great. Are we all following? And then how this starts to become interesting is when we start combining these very simple shapes together. So let's start with the super easy one that I'm sure you'll all know. So if we have a square and a triangle, a rectangle, another rectangle, and a loop, we have a house with smoke coming out the chimney. If we wanted to draw a coffee cup, for example, we can have an oval, join it up with a rectangle, and give it an arch, and there you have a coffee cup, and maybe add some heat coming out of the mug. If we wanted to do cheese, we could do a triangle like this, join it up with a rectangle, add some circles, and you have yourself a beautiful brie. A few more. Let's look at two circles. We join them with an arch, we draw two lines, curve the end, and we have spectacles. Great. A pizza slice can be as easy as a triangle with a curved top, another line, and some toppings. And how about a half a circle with the extra line, some dots, and we have a watermelon. Great. Is everyone following?
You're getting me hungry on the food theme here, Anna. All right. Shall we move on to people? So my favorite thing in the world are people. Okay, so let me show you very, very simple way to draw people. And this is like really where the art scars come out, where people say to me, oh, I'm not creative, I'm not an artist. And that's not what this is about. This is about just visualizing and helping you think through things. And especially when you design customer journeys, employee journeys, a lot of the innovation is unlocked when you actually draw them out instead of working with the written language. All right, so simplest
Chantel,
person.
Can you bring us to you, please? Just move your...
Oh, I can.
Thanks.
I can, absolutely. There we go. How's that? Okay, stunning. So let me just start again. Simplest person. I just want to make my pen a little bit thicker. All right, is you start with like an upside down U. You close the U and you put a head on it. All right. And the mistake we usually make is we want to make the eyes, if we give eyes, and we'll talk about faces now, but we usually put the eyes there. And our eyes, that's someone looking up. Their nose is like that. That's someone looking up. But what we want to do, we want to put the eyes as close as possible to the middle of the face. And that immediately gives you the sense that this is a human being. All right, we're going to talk about body posture, but I'm just going to give it some arms like that. So let me show you a few other people, how you can draw people. So you could also do this, give the body a square shape, okay, which is really nice because then I can attach my arms to the top and I can attach my legs to the bottom. All right. Then this is another way to draw a human being, and we call this a star person. You can see pretty dysfunctional shape there, but that is a star person. And just go back to my thing. All right, and I'm going to put the eyes there in the middle. I usually do these people. I just do the head, and then I do pretty much legs coming from out of the neck. And the reason why I do that is it just gives me like a very quick person to draw. All right, so I'll show you again. Head, and then I just let the legs come out of the neck. And that's enough to tell me that that's a person. All right, now, when I want to draw a group of people, I just do a whole lot of these. Now it looks like M's. Okay, I give the M's, I close them at the bottom, And now I'm going to give them heads. All right, and there I'm drawing a group of people. I quickly give them eyes. All right, and I might just do, if it's a happy group of people, they're doing this. And usually when I draw the body parts, I actually look at my own arms, you know, just to get a sense of how the arm needs to bend. And if I want to draw an even bigger group of people, I can just do this. So I literally go, this is a massive crowd, and I just draw some faces. And all of a sudden, I've got a really big crowd of people there. Anna, anything you want to add here?
Yeah, I just think we often try and over embellish our drawings, and you'll see even on the faces, just with 2 little dots, it gives it enough personification to, you know, tell you exactly the feeling of that person, you know, starts to emerge. So you don't even always have to draw a full face, but 2 little dots and a line for a nose is often enough. Yeah, and you can get really creative with your shapes, and these people start getting personality.
And I really suggest find your own way. Like I spent so much time trying to emulate someone else, and then I just found, okay, this is my person. That one with the legs coming out of his neck, that's my person. That's the quickest way that I can draw. But find your way. I mean, there's just amazing things. And I've even seen like really, really nice journeys where people they work with blobs. Like literally, they don't even take the human shape. You know, that's kind of my actor in my journey. So you can do so much with, you know, actually the fewer lines you use, the quicker you can draw this. When we were doing a lot of face-to-face workshops, we would cover the walls in paper and we'd draw out these journeys. And when you facilitate journey design in that way, you don't have a lot of time to draw. So you draw really, really fast. And the story takes shape as you carry on. All right, fantastic. So that's people. And happy for you to raise your hand at any time if you want to ask some questions. We are going to take you like through a little bit more advanced thinking. So Anna, do you want to start with hands and arms and things like that? Do you want me to carry on?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So my favorite way of drawing a person is really with a square and 2 lines at the bottom. And the arms can be very expressive, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. So your normal arms kind of just dangle from that joining point at the neck and the head. So that's just kind of, I mean, he almost looks like he's slouching over. If we had to start bending the arms, something like this, hands on the hips, maybe cross or feeling assertive. Another option is to start kind of doing hands on the hips on the one side and something like that on the other side. So really a bit unsure or thinking, or maybe pointing to something. And you'll see as you start drawing this, and I hope what you'll be left with at the end of this exercise is really like a visual library of drawings that you can go back to and use and kind of pull from in your meetings, like almost a reference point. So he's pointing up. We can also start almost kind of slanting the bodies a bit, and it gives you like a nice movement. And the hands can be just little circles. They can kind of start giving, you can start giving them some fingers, but it can really be a very simple expression. Like the feet are just lines. I mean, we can point a hand up at the head and one down, so really thinking and wondering. Chantel, are there any I'm missing here? Any others I can add?
So Anna, I mean, one of the things that I struggle with is like running. I usually have to like get into a running pose to see how the legs, not Jacques, you know that I don't run. I don't run at all. So maybe that's why I struggle with the running pose, because I just don't like exercise. He's laughing at me immediately when I say running. So I think that you know, I think the thing is we've got a body. So if you want to see like how the arms move, you know, that kind of, if you become more aware of your own body. And then the other thing that I use quite often, and I'll just grab that space next to you, is like I sometimes struggle with people sitting on a chair. So usually I would just do this. If they're sitting at a desk, I would just kind of do that. And that would be, sometimes I give my desk a name. Maybe that's a specific role of a person. So that's a really nice way to hide complexity, is by drawing a desk. And then also what I do is I love doing like a round table and just drawing people on the other side of a round table. You know, so they're having a meeting that could have actually been an email, and I've got some people sitting there and they're thinking, you know, this could have been an email. You know, so that's a very quick way to draw people around the table, and you don't need a lot of detail there. You know, immediately put a circle, put some people around it, and you know they're sitting around a table. Is that guy yawning, Anna?
Very surprised at your people having a meeting there on the right.
Yeah. All right, stunning. Shall we move on? So, all right, we've kind of dealt with people poses. So shall we do faces? So there's an awesome exercise that Austin Kleon does that shows you different facial expressions. So what I'm going to ask you to do is we're going to draw 9 circles. Okay, so you want to do rows of 3. All right, and then I'm going to show you like real quick facial expressions. Okay, so we're going to deal with this as if it is a spreadsheet. All right, so your top column header will be something like that. Then your second column will be something like that, and your last column will be upside down smile. And then we're going to do the same this side, that, and that. So that's going to cue us a little bit in terms of how we want these faces. So I want you to draw eyes on each of these circles. Go ahead and draw some eyes. Okay. Give me a visual thumbs up when your eyes are done. Thank you, Mia. Stunning. Thanks, Corette. Thanks, Anissa. Okay, excellent. Thanks, Mercy, my friends from Kenya. Hey, Vadiana. All right, so when your eyes are done, now I'm going to show you the magic, okay? So first, we're going to do the mouths, okay? So you're going to take your smiley mouth here. You're going to take your smiley mouth there, and we're going to draw smiles all around. So your top row will be smiles. Okay, you got that? Then your second row will be just a straight line. Okay, and your bottom row will be the unfriendly kind of pissed off, sad, depressed kind of mouth look. Okay, now we're going to go to the top column. And what you're going to do in the top column, now we're going to emulate the eyebrows, okay? So your eyebrows are going to be like that. Okay, so we're going to do 2 lines, but they're going to kind of follow the shape of what your column header is. All right? Now we're going to do the next one, the next row, and you're going to do the last row. Straight, and then, okay, so there you've got 9 facial expressions. Now, let's play a bit of a game. Let's hear from you, and let's see, maybe I can call out someone. What is this one here in the bottom? This one. What's that emotion? Let's play some emotional awareness. Patricia, go for it. What's that emotion you're seeing?
Sad. Looks very sad.
Yeah. Sad. Okay, could be sad. Could be slightly depressed. Yeah. All right. Stunning. Tell me this top one. Opposite corner, what is that? What is that, Mia? What are you seeing there? What's that face?
Devious.
Devious. Okay, devious, sly. That's probably someone that I'm not going to enter into business with. Okay, then this one, my ultimate favorite. I think I'm an expert in that. What do you think that is? Come on, Vidiana, tell us. Anissa, tell us.
Angry.
Yeah. Pissed off, angry. Okay,
Yeah.
stunning. So
Annoyed.
this is a quick, and you can go and Google Austin Kleon's faces. There is a YouTube video link to how he does this, but this is a really, really quick way to deal with faces that's really not intimidating at all. It also works well for workshop check-ins. If people arrive at a workshop and you go, how do you feel? You know, and they just hover over this on a Miro or a mural board. It's really, really cool for people to just become aware of how they land. All right, then we're looking at containers and kind of interactions between people. Anna, do you want to show us some of your favorites?
Yeah, so I actually want to tell you a quick story. I have two girls, they're 5 and 7, and they are extreme opposites. So my eldest one is all about loving and touching and cuddling, and the youngest one is tough as nails, you know, hardcore. And the eldest one is really struggling because she just wants to hug and embrace her sister, and the little sister wants nothing to do with it. So I actually went through an exercise with them of drawing out the 5 love languages and explaining it and showing the interaction of people in those love languages. And our whole family got to put our initials next to the language that we, I don't know if you can see that, I'll share the drawing that we associate with. So we can get to know each other and really start to love each other in a way that we want to be loved. So let me show you some examples. If you think of, you know, loving each other through words, what I did is I just drew 2 people next to each other. And this is where kind of the interaction becomes quite powerful in that they are both kind of got some happy arms, give them some smiles, and then we can start using these containers to show that they are speaking to each other, and they never have to be closed, but it's just kind of an indicator that there is the words are coming from those 2 people. And I mean, hair can also be super simple. Just a couple of lines shows that it's kind of a male and female scenario, or whatever the case can be. So for touch, our people looked something like this, where they were really close together, and kind of the feet facing each other, so it gives kind of that sideways turn. And then because the arms are just lines, we can start, they can start crossing over the body, and with the eyes looking quite closely to each other, it shows that they are really, you know, quite comfortable with being in each other's space. And then you can add a thought bubble on top and just put a little picture in there, and that sends like a very powerful message. My third one was time together. So for me, that is eating at a restaurant. So I had a table with 2 of us having supper together, and you can really just kind of symbolize the connection between the 2 people with a few very simple shapes. Another very useful way of showing interaction is if you want to show someone holding something, it's quite easy to just draw that thing next to the body. So that my next love languages was gift, so giving someone a gift. And then what you do is you just literally connect the arm with the top and the bottom of that object, and then the recipient over here. And once again, if her feet kind of are facing the other person, that shows a lot of kind of a slant towards them, and the arms just in the direction of receiving the gift. And another one was really just the last love languages was acts of service. So I just had a person carrying a tray, and then you can really add anything onto that tray. For example, a mug, maybe a little vase with a flower, big smile, 2 eyes, and this is me getting breakfast in bed. Chantel, any other interactions you can think of?
So what I tend to use a lot, I love like containers, you know. So if you, sorry, let me just switch back to my black pen. So I love these little containers where maybe you have, you know, a signpost and that says start here. Aside from what Anna's covered in the thought and the speech bubbles, you know, I think just labeling stuff, you know. So often, you know, I would draw something like that if I'm drawing like really quickly, and you know, you don't really know what that is, so I just go dog. So I quickly label something. And what's important with labels is that you first write your words and then draw your label around it. All right, so first write your words, because in the beginning, I would sometimes do these, you know, absolutely stunning little banners here with you know, the little shadow, and it looks just, it looks very professional, like a professional visual harvester did it. And then I would start writing in there, and you know, I would realize, oh my word, I just don't have enough space. So the most important thing is write your text first and then create your container around that. Sometimes when I label things, sometimes when I label things, I would do this because my handwriting is horrible. So I would do that, and then I will start writing here, and you know, I'll kind of continue writing, just carry on, and then I know, okay, so there I close my banner, and then I love this version where I just put 2 tabs at the top, or alternatively, if you just do the square, you can also just do your little pins there. But the most important thing is write your text, and like when we would write a journal, we tend to write very long sentences. When you are visually doing something, try and write about 3 words in a sentence so that it makes a nice little block like that. So that makes your, you know, visual notes just look amazing, like without any skill. All right, stunning. What's our next thingy here? Can I jump around a little bit, Anna? Can I talk a bit about conflict resolution? Okay, so I've got 3 kids, teenagers, and I'm in menopause. So listen, we're like any Italians in the room. It's like pretty much like being part of a Italian family, because sometimes the sparks fly. So I love using this skill to illustrate to my kids what's really going on. So, you know, we would have these discussions where, you know, I would say to them, listen, if you are not ready by 7 o'clock, we're actually going to go to school without you. So, you know, I go ready by 7 a.m. Okay, otherwise I'm going to go to school. Then on the way to the car, you know, I'll draw my 3 kids, and this one's telling that one, he looks terrible. This one's saying like, listen, I don't want to sit next to you. I want to sit in the front. And these three kids are like just at it. And, you know, there's just a lot of sparks flying there. Then to make it stop, I jump in and, you know, I go, I brought you into this life, 18 hours without an epidural. I will take you all out if I have to. Get in the car, shut up, and don't talk to me. All right. And then I arrive at work with my partner, Johan, and the father of these children, and I'm angry at him because there's something in his sperm that makes these kids just like full of hormones. So now I fight with him, And these kids have long forgotten what's actually transpired. And then, we're still fighting about the fight that they had the morning in the car. So this works really well to sometimes illustrate what happens between human beings. Even, I would sit in a meeting and I would draw, my attendees of the meeting. And I would say, okay, so this one asked a question about money. All right, so that one asked about money. This one asked about implementation and was particularly interested in the timelines. And then this participant of the meeting, they were just talking about risks. Okay, so now I've got a really, really good idea of my 3 people in the meeting. What are their hot buttons? What did they talk about most? Now, this shouldn't be used as a weapon against people, but now I have a really, really good idea. So if I present a project proposal to them, I know that my person A, I need to speak to the money. My person B, I need to speak to implementation times and address them and make them feel like I've got deep empathy for the things that they care about. So all of a sudden, I'm empathy mapping on the fly in a meeting using some sketches. And if you get really clever about your vocabulary, I would use my exclamation mark for risk. Okay, I would use my just a quick clock for, okay, that one is very interested in timelines. And then I've got the nice little money bag, and I always use dollars. So my dollar money bag, my clock, and my exclamation mark, and all of a sudden I've got a vocabulary, and I can draw my exclamation mark a lot quicker than what I can write the word risks. So all of a sudden I can codify what people want, what people need, and I'm able to ask more intelligent questions. I'm able to do presentations that speak to the insides of people, presentations that address their fears directly without going into 50 pages of PowerPoint, and then I get to the point. All right, stunning. Back to you, Anna.
Great, thank you. So if you keep practicing this, I think the best way to keep learning is almost to start doing it in meetings, and even take a TED talk, something that you don't have to, action like the outputs of a meeting, and really just start drawing. So structures and templates for meetings. It's great to start planning an agenda on here. What are the, so if we had to kind of draw a few boxes, kind of what are the things that we need to get signed off, what are the things that we need to think about, what are the things that we maybe need to action, so for action we can maybe have a little spanner or a tool to symbolize action, and then each of these can almost, as you write, have a little icon next to it to kind of group these thoughts, and it really creates like an amazing repository of what you want to achieve in this meeting as a planning tool, to structure that. And then you can start saying, okay, this is kind of quite important, 30 minutes here, these are just some ideas I want to sow, so 15 minutes there, and the action is really the wrap up at the end of the meeting, that is kind of 5 minutes or so. Chantel, anything you wanted to add there?
No, I think that's great, Anna, and I think what I've experienced, since I started doing this in meetings and workshops, within 5 minutes, 10 minutes into a meeting, you can get a great sense of whether someone's well prepared, of whether this is going somewhere. And sometimes, I have those WTF moments, like this meeting is not going anywhere. Then you can use your just your beautiful personality and your charisma to say, let me just quickly understand what's the objectives of this meeting. What are we trying to achieve again? And you can ask much more intelligent questions, because you can actually see that the flow, someone hasn't really thought through the flow. So I think I've definitely ended up, participating and contributing to meetings in a much more positive way, because I'm drawing out things, and I struggle sometimes to get the storyline. And then I can gently prod and ask and say, you know, what's happening here? What are we trying to get to? What is the outcome of this? What are you expecting? What are you expecting from us? What would you like us to do? How would you like us to contribute?
Yeah, and if I can just add, Post-its are a really great tool for this as well. If you're planning out a meeting, kind of do each piece or segment on a Post-it and start shuffling them around on a board so you can see it visually and start piecing that storyline together. And I think that could also be very handy for this presentation planning piece. Thanks, Chantel.
All right, so let me quickly share with you how I plan most of the presentations. So I start with my audience. All right. So I start with my audience and I look at, you know, what can I give them? What is the gift that I can give them in this presentation? What do I want them to walk away with? How do I want them to feel? And especially when I'm sharing knowledge, I challenge myself and say, okay, so if they're going to remember me one day when they're 70 sitting with their gin and tonics, you know, somewhere on a veranda somewhere, what do I want them to remember about some of the wisdom that I gave them? So what's the wisdom I want to leave them with? All right. And then if I want a person to walk away with some wisdom, all right, I need to create, in our first session, we spoke about the contrast of positive and negative peaks. All right. So if I want them to listen to me, all right, there's only two ways that you can, big secret that most of you already know. There's only two ways that you can get a person to change their behavior, listen to you, act on something, and that is pain or pleasure. All right, there's only two ways. Someone has pain and they do something to move away from the pain. Someone has pleasure and they do something to move towards the pleasure. All right, so usually the way I draw out my presentations is saying, all right, so what is the pain that my audience is experiencing? All right, so what is the pain? And I've got a little band-aid there. All right, then if they do nothing, there's like a little no access. If they do nothing about the pain, what is the consequences? All right, so this is typically how I do my storylines. So what is the consequences of doing nothing? So they do nothing, no access. What's the consequences? All right, so how can I solve that for them? And I'm deleting my own picture here. So how can I solve that for them? So I've got this idea, this big idea, this light bulb. How can I solve it for them? I give them the ways to solve it. Okay, the ways to solve it. And maybe I've got a few ideas here that I want to share with them. All right. And then I give them the actions. The actions. So here's a little action plan. You do A, then you do B, then you do C. And once you've done that, all right, that pain will go away. The other alternative is to position a better way, a pleasure of sorts, and take people through the same thing. If they don't take that call to action to get closer to the pleasure, what will happen? These are the steps to get there. This is the actions to get there. Okay, does it make sense? So if you ever see me giving a boring presentation that has no point, that's not going anywhere, you know that I took shortcuts and that I didn't draw it out. Because if you draw it out like this and it doesn't make sense to you, then you know you're going to bullshit, you're going to muck it up. All right, but when you draw it out, you go, oh, look at me, look what I've done. Michelle's smiling, look what I've done. I'm so, oh, they're going to love me. I'm going to get my audience to my piece of wisdom. Then I know I've hit the mark there. All right, Anna, I wonder, should we open for some questions?
Yeah.
And just quickly, the method that we've used here, Anna and I, we're sitting with an iPad with a pencil. We're sharing a Miro board with you. And we've just created these panels and we're drawing on these panels. If you wanted to know technically how we're doing this. All right, let's open for some questions.